Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome to your January 2024 forecast. So, a little vibe change. Stephanie is officially on maternity leave. So, this is going to be a little different. I don't have Stephanie here with her Virgo moon to keep me on track. So, hopefully, I won't go on too many tangents. And I'm kind of doing this on my own. So, I don't have anybody to bounce these ideas off of. So, yeah, this is just a little something different for January. I hope you all had a beautiful 2023. It was definitely a year that felt, a little mixed bag. Some really amazing things happened, and then some really, really sad things happened. But overall, we're still alive, hopefully. And hopefully, you are arriving into 2024 with some hope and some faith that we're going to heal and come back into wholeness and put the past behind us and integrate the lessons we've learned and to show up in our most authentic self for 2024, because 2024 is a year of many endings, transitions, and it's almost like a year that will catalyze another age, let's just say, with all of the outer planets. And the outer planets are the collective planets moving into different signs starting in 2025. And I'm going to do a different video about that because I think that's very significant. Pluto is moving into Aquarius fully in 2025. And Saturn and Neptune are going to be moving into the sign of Aries in 2025. Jupiter will be moving into Gemini. Uranus will be moving into Gemini. So we're moving from the nocturnal yin feminine water and earth signs of Taurus and Pisces to more yang masculine signs of Aries, Gemini, and Aquarius. So it's definitely a huge energy shift in the next couple years, but we will take it one step at a time. And so we're going to start with January. Normally, when I do this with Stephanie, we do a recap of December. And honestly, for me, December was a pretty typical Mercury retrograde, people coming back from the past and a lot of arguments with people because Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius, and Mercury is not said to be in its home place in Sagittarius. So just a lot of sharing ideas that might have been, conflict of interest with different people's belief systems. And Mercury in Capricorn felt very somber and just very serious. And I just felt, maybe it was just me, so you're going to have to let me know how your December was, but it just felt very serious and very somber. And that's what happens when we go through the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's the darkest time of the year. And we're at the end of 2023. So we're thinking about the year, we're reflecting, it's Mercury retrograde. Could we have done more? Could we have done better? Regrets and maybe, some mixed feelings as we're entering into a new year. And Venus was in Scorpio, which is also not said to be in its home place. And all of this means is it just had a more serious tone and a more, emotions rolling around. And we ended the year with a full moon in Cancer, which was hopeful, yet our ability to process emotions was definitely present at the end of the year. So hopefully some of you got some closure and you're clearing the path for a new beginning. And as we enter January 1st, Mercury will go direct. Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius will go direct. So that is an exciting thing to report. I'm filming this on December 29th, and Venus will enter into the sign of Sagittarius later today, which is super hopeful. Venus in fire signs is all about adventure and exploration and being courageous and brave and a little wild and a little flirtatious. So, right away on January 1st, Venus in the sign of Sagittarius is going to square Saturn in the sign of Pisces at 3 degrees. So, just a little recap, squares and oppositions are points of conflict, right? Squares is a 90-degree angle. They are in the energy of Mars. So Venus in the sign of Sagittarius wants to have fun, wants to flirt, wants to be free and wild and go on adventures. And it being in a square, which is a conflict aspect to Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is more serious. It's like, come on, we got to get serious and build our foundations and create borders and boundaries. So this will be very prevalent for people with Pisces placements and Sag placements if you're a sun, moon, or rising, or if you have a Gemini rising, Virgo rising, and Sag and Pisces, anywhere of your angles at like 0 to 6 degrees, because the square is happening at 3 degrees. So you want to look out for this. And if you have a mutable rising sign, then it's going to be in one of your angular houses. And when these things happen in angular houses, you feel it the most. So yeah, I mean, again, Venus is like, I want to have fun. It was traveling through the deep waters of Scorpio for the last like month, and now it's like, I'm free. And then Saturn is there like, no, we have to be serious about something. So people who have this natally often have difficulty, or their relationships with either their romantic partners or just relationships in general, since Venus is the planet of relating, take more work. And people with this configuration in their chart either have love interests or relationships in like long distance relationships, or find love later on in life. But, you know, Venus also represents things like value and worth, and Saturn represents things like boundaries, saying no. In the sign of Pisces, it's like, let's reimagine our dreams. Like, how are we getting serious about our spirituality and having, a grounded practice? So just look out for that. And that's right away on the 1st of January as Mercury goes direct. Then on January 4th, Mars enters the sign of Capricorn. And this is great for Mars because Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. And an exaltation means that Mars can do its thing in the sign of Capricorn. So if you have any Capricorn placements, this is great for you. It'll make you feel motivated to get things done. And it's going to be like efforts that you see in the physical reality. So Mars was traveling through the sign of Sagittarius, and it was kind of wreaking havoc, right? It was kind of wild. It was kind of like doing its thing, wanting to party, have fun, and spread its ideas. But in the sign of Capricorn, it's like, okay, let's get down and dirty. Let's make these things grounded into the physical reality. And then on January 8th, Mercury in Sagittarius will square Neptune in Pisces at 25 degrees. Now, we already had this. We already had this 3 times, and this is the final pass. So look back at, I forget the exact dates and I didn't write them down, but sometime in November when it went in the pre-shadow and then the retrograde. And then now, as Mercury is going direct, it's hitting that Neptune again. And Mercury in Sag, it's like it just wants to share ideas. And sometimes it could sound dogmatic, and sometimes it can be a little foot in the mouth kind of thing. And then it's in a square to Neptune in Pisces. This could be like miscommunication, people not understanding you, people getting the wrong idea, or this is definitely not a good day to have a serious conversation with somebody or sending emails where you want a concrete answer. This is more like just sit tight, because after like the last two passes during the pre-shadow and the retrograde, where you were trying to maybe communicate something, and now that it's going direct, it's like, oh, you might finally get clarity, or you might finally get the answer that you're looking for. But it's not necessarily a day where you're going to have the most clarity. Remember, squares are conflict aspects, but squares it forces you to take action or something to come out of the aspect. So, January 9th, the sun in Capricorn will trine Uranus and Taurus at 19 degrees. Now, trines and sextiles are harmonious aspects. Sextiles are 60 degrees and trines are 120 degrees. Sextiles are ones where it's very short but sweet, and you want to take advantage of that, but it's going to make you like you have to take action. Whereas trines, there's flowing energy, and you just kind of have to be in the right receptive energy to receive whatever the sun in Capricorn is trying to give you with Uranus and Taurus. And this is maybe something of a surprise. Whenever I tell you the degrees, just look at your own natal chart and see if this is triggering any of your natal placements, because it will be more, I guess, like pronounced and more applicable to you. So 19 degrees, I'm just looking at that for myself because I have Chiron in Taurus at 19. I have my South Node in Capricorn at 19. I have my North Node in Cancer in 19. So I'm going to highlight that because that's very important to my personal chart. But the sun in Capricorn trine Uranus and Taurus is like maybe a surprise opportunity comes your way, something that you've been working really hard for. And it being in earth signs, it could be something tangible. So you want to look out for that. And on the same day, Mars in Capricorn will sextile Saturn in Pisces at 4 degrees. Now, again, sextiles is a very short and sweet aspect. It's 60 degrees, so it's in the nature of Venus, but it's something that you kind of have to take action on. And I really like this because, again, Mars is it's one of its favorite places in Capricorn, and it's in Saturn's sign. And so whenever you have anything happening in Capricorn, you want to look at what Saturn's doing. And Saturn is going to be traveling through the sign of Pisces until 2026. So it's really trying to get you to pay attention. Saturn is the ultimate teacher in your Pisces house. So this is great. I think this is like a good day to take some kind of action. Again, in your Capricorn and your Pisces house, you want to look at that. And it could just be like you take one step, a concrete step towards your future goals, because Saturn is the god of time, and long-term thinking is Capricorn. And I love talking about Capricorn because I studied it for a really long time because my South Node is there. And what I learned about Capricorn is it became kind of distorted through this capitalistic patriarchal lens. I kind of see Capricorn as a matriarch, somebody who, because ultimately Capricorn is a yin feminine earth sign. It is the earth. It is, a very mystical sign as well because it's a sea goat. And I think of Capricorn as a matron or part of a matriarchy where people come together and they decide, oh, we're going to build this community center or this community garden and make it worth our time for the long term because it benefits the community. Saturn, again, is the god of the earth and the soil and agriculture, and Saturn rules the boundaries and borders, which is why it also rules Aquarius. So I have a different interpretation of Capricorn, and I do believe Capricorns are one of the most creative signs. So for any Capricorn placements out there, I see you, and I think you've been gypped by a very distorted archetypal interpretation of your sign. See, this is where I get off on my tangents, but let's get back on track here. Okay. So on January 10th, the sun in Capricorn will square the North Node in Aries at 20 degrees. Okay, so the North Node is currently in the sign of Aries, and it'll be there until I believe the end of 2025. And the South Node is in the sign of Libra, which are both cardinal signs. So anytime we have planets that are in cardinal signs are going to square the nodes. And the nodes are fated endings of beginnings. So the square to the North Node, I think this could be a fated time where you might decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. You know, Aries North Node. Aries is all about entrepreneurship, being a pioneer, breaking off onto the unknown. Aries is a sign of I am, of the self. And again, the sun in Capricorn is just highlighting like you want to build something for the long term. I consider Capricorn to be the archetype of the builder, somebody who has the foresight of structure and paradigms and can ultimately create something like magical with that. All right, so let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay, so then on January 11th, we have our first lunation, which is the new moon in Capricorn at 20 degrees, which will be squaring the nodes. And oh my gosh, I haven't showed the screen. So I've been meaning to do this. If you are watching the YouTube version of my podcast, I am showing the chart because I want to show you what these glyphs look like. And I totally forgot. Mercury retrograde brain. So, well, this is January 1st. And here Venus is at 3 degrees. And that's the glyph of Sagittarius with the archer, the arrow. And then there's Saturn in the sign of Pisces at 3 degrees. And squares happen when the planets are in the same mode, like modality. So Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini are all mutable signs. All right, but let's fast forward to this lunation, the new moon. And I will show you the chart here, and I'll try to do my best for the podcast listeners to describe to you what I am seeing here. Okay. Hold please, hold please. Okay, so here we go. We have the sun and the moon together in the sky. This is the glyph for the sun. It kind of looks like a nipple. And then the moon is like a crescent moon in the sign of Capricorn. And a new moon happens when the sun and moon are together in the sky. Hold on. I need to get this back. So this happens at 6:57 a.m. Let me get this right here. Okay, this is as close as I can get it. So we have the sun and the moon, and it's kind of a wide orb. I use like a 6-degree orb, but Mars is co-present there, which just means that Mars is in the same sign as the new moon, but it's kind of far from where the new moon is happening. So then we want to look at the ruler of this new moon, which is Saturn. And Saturn is here at 4 degrees in Pisces. Okay, so you can already see that Mars is making a sextile to Saturn, which we talked about. And let's see anything else. This new moon is squaring the sextile to the south node. And it's squaring the south node and it's squaring the north node. So it's making this like little T-square here. Okay, so this new moon is like, it's all about setting new intentions for, I guess like 2024, right? Or until the new moon or the full moon in Capricorn, which would be sometime during Cancer season, because Capricorn and Cancer are sister signs. So I find this to be very hopeful. Pluto is here hanging on by a thread at the 29th anaretic degree of Capricorn, and it's going to change into Aquarius in the month of January. And we will talk about that in a few moments. But this is a very like, I'm going to take action. I'm going to set intentions for like what I want my 2024 to look like. It's in a square to the north node. It's in a square to the south node. This is like fated. This is like whatever happens this year, I'm going to make my dreams come true with the Saturn and Pisces going direct. And as the month unfolds, all the planets will go direct. And you'll see that once that happens, you're going to have this forward momentum. Okay, so then let's see here. On January 12th, so the next day, Mars in Capricorn will trine to Jupiter in Taurus. And by this time, Jupiter will have gone forward. And it would have done that on December 30th in the sign of Taurus. So again, this is a very lovely aspect. This is like long-term goals. It's a trine, so energy is flowing very nicely. Here we go. Here is Mars at 5 degrees of Capricorn, and it's exalted Mars, and it's in a trine aspect to Jupiter and Taurus, also at 5 degrees. You want to look at where you have Capricorn and Taurus. These are earth signs. This is like lovely. This is like, I'm going to take action. I'm going to plant my seeds. But honestly, it's a trine. So I feel like you're going to receive something from this aspect. Love it. Okay, so then on January 13th, Mercury will move into the sign of Capricorn. Let's see this here. Okay. So Mercury has already been in the sign of Capricorn. If you remember in December, there was a Cazimi moment at 0 degrees of Capricorn. It was around the solstice, and now it's coming back. So you might get an answer to that Cazimi moment if you set intentions at that time. 0 degrees in cardinal signs are world points. So world points are big news. So this is why it's really good to set intentions on this time. If you've ever taken like a yoga breathwork class or a yoga class, at least when I took yoga teacher training, the teacher would always say like, focus on the 0 point, which is 0 point, meaning like nothingness. You are connected to everything, like the oneness of it all, right? You're always constantly coming back into yourself and focusing on the fact that we are all whole. Well, that 0 point is the 0 degrees in cardinal signs. So just as like the cardinal seasons, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries start the seasons, whenever a planet ingresses into a cardinal sign at 0 degrees, you notice something. So just pay attention to this day. That is January 13th. Mercury ingresses into the sign of Capricorn. Again, this might be messages that you were kind of like reflecting on or reviewing during the retrograde. Now I don't know if any of you work with Juno, but on January 12th, Juno in the sign of Virgo will station retrograde. So Juno is the planet. She is, well, if we're using pronouns, she is the wife of Jupiter in Roman mythology. And in Greek mythology, she's Hera, and she is all about contracts and marriage and partnerships. So look at where you have Juno transiting in Virgo, and that could give you some clues as to like what contracts, what partnerships, what collaborations you are like reviewing or thinking about over the next retrograde period. Okay, so then on January 14th, Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius will trine the North Node in Aries. Okay, no, Venus, sorry. And I really like this. So again, Venus in Sagittarius is I want to have an adventure. I want to fall in love and maybe not even fall in love because Sagittarius energy is like it wants freedom and it wants adventure. So it's not the best transit for commitment, but it is all about having fun. And when Venus is, I'm just like really, I'm roasting Sagittarius just because I'm a Sagittarius rising and I just know this energy very well. But when it's trying to the North Node, though, there is some kind of fated meeting, perhaps. It could be a fated, you know, rendezvous with, I don't know, your like self-discovery. I'm just thinking about all the significations of a North Node in Aries, again, is our soul's journey collectively towards ourself. And if you are looking for love, the most direct approach at this juncture would be towards yourself. I mean, it always should be, but it's just more pronounced now. And so here we have Venus at 19 Sag, and it's trying to another fire sign, the North Node in Aries. And I really like this because I'm an Aries. And so mark that date in the calendar. If you're single, go out and mingle. If you are in a relationship, go out and have a sweet wild time with your sweetie. And yeah, just have fun that day. See, this is why I need Stephanie, because she always brings it down to earth with like reality checks. And sometimes like my Sagittarian optimism sees all of this very optimistically. But that's what you're going to get from me in January, okay? All right, so I'm making myself laugh. January 15th, we have the sun in Capricorn sextile to Neptune in Pisces at 25 degrees. Okay, so Neptune has been transiting Pisces for the last couple of years, I think since 2011. And it's been making your Pisces house a little confusing. So when I think about my Pisces house, which is the fourth house of home and family, I've been constantly moving since 2011. I haven't had my own space consistently for over like a year. And it's only because I'm on the search for my dream place, right? This vision place that I've had in my mind. And so wherever you have Pisces, this is like creating a little bit of a confusion, but Neptune is kind of closing out this chapter for the rest of 2024, and it's going to move into Aries in 2025. So since 2011, like what have you been kind of dreaming about? What has been on your vision board that just never hit, you know? And so every time we have an earth sign kind of like touching Neptune, it's like, okay, coming back down to reality. So the sun in Capricorn is like, okay, we need to make a concrete move in some direction of making this vision a reality. And now when I talk about Neptune, this isn't like dreams when you're going to sleep, unless you have this in your 12th house, the place of dreams. This is more like vision board. Like, what is the overall vision of your life? Because again, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are collective signs. So collectively, we're all reimagining, revisioning like what it is to be a human on this planet. All right. So then on January 18th, we are moving along. Sorry, I'm not doing a really good job at moving this chart. But here, let me show you what Neptune looks like. It looks like the because Neptune is the Roman god of the sea and Poseidon is the Greek god of the sea. And so it's a Triton here. And it's in the sign of Pisces. And here we have the sun in Capricorn, sextile. Okay. Now let's move to January 18th. And we have Mercury in Capricorn, sextile Saturn in Pisces at 4 degrees. Okay, so this is lovely because now Mercury here is in Saturn's sign. Okay, so it's a sextile. So they're communicating with each other. So Saturn is, trying to make your dreams come true. It's trying to lay down the foundation. It's like, let's get serious about this. Now, all other ideas and themes around Pisces is it could be spirituality, art, music, unity consciousness, the ocean. It is all about the unseen realms. So wherever you have Saturn transiting, or if you're going through your Saturn return, these are some things that can come up. And depending on like where it is, like let's say it's in your angular houses, like I was saying, the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th, you would feel Saturn's presence. And it's going to make you feel a certain way because Saturn has that feeling of decrease and saying no and isolation. And I always say, give the malefics what they want, which is like whatever you are denying or whatever you're trying to like hide from or repress, that's not going to do well with planets like Saturn, Pluto, Mars. I mean, if we're really talking about malefics, some astrologers believe Neptune and Uranus are also malefic, but that's a discussion for another day. I just think that in overall, like, it's better not to resist because it's just gonna, then you're gonna project all of your fears onto other people and it's not gonna be good. So just give Saturn what it wants, which is your attention. Do your Saturn, make sure that you're feeding your Saturn, and not just the one that's transiting in the sky in Pisces, but your own natal Saturn. All right, where were we? January 18th. Now, January 19th, Mercury in Capricorn will trine Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees. Okay. This is another lovely aspect. So Jupiter in Capricorn here at 6 degrees will trine Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees. And Jupiter has finally moved out of the 5th degree because it's been there for a long time. When Jupiter stations to go direct, I believe it's at the 5 degree for like weeks, right? So it's finally moving. So whatever you were maybe working on in your Taurus house, and things have stayed stagnant for like 5 months because Jupiter went retrograde, I believe, in September. Things are finally moving forward. And this would be very significant to you if you are a Taurus rising, because it would have been in your 1st house, or a Pisces or Sagittarius rising because Jupiter rules your chart. So this is great. Like, I love when Mercury and Jupiter connect with each other because these are, well, Mercury is the messenger and why can't I think? Mercury retrograde. Mercury is a messenger and communicator, and Jupiter expands. Jupiter is the yes planet. So this could be a great day of sending emails, sending messages, communicating. This would be a great day to, if you want, starting a social media account or I'm just thinking about like communication things around Jupiter and Capricorn. I mean, they're earth signs. So this could be maybe you're wanting to start something new, like building something, growing something, creating something. I mean, we all should be doing that anyway. The North Node is in Aries. All right. So on the same day, on January 19th, Venus and Sag will square Neptune in Pisces at 25 degrees. Okay, this is like Delulu on steroids. So here we have Venus at 25 square to Saturn, Neptune in Pisces. So if you meet somebody on this day, just be careful of rose-colored glasses. They could look way better to you than they actually are. This could be a great day to explore like a new thing, like a new activity, maybe, or if you're I'm just trying to think of things that I would do on this day. Maybe I would go to a singing group. There's one in New York City where a bunch of strangers just start singing a cappella. I was like, maybe I'll do that in a Venus square Neptune kind of thing, just because Pisces and Neptune deal with like music. And Venus and Sagittarius is let me try something new. Let me get out there and challenge myself. Just try something different that maybe it's 2024, it's January, that has scared you in the past, and just start inching towards your fear. And that's how we build confidence. This is, again, not a great day to start any like long-term things, just because like Neptune has this ability to create illusions and delusions, but a great day to do something creative, for example. Okay. On January 20th, a lot is going on. We have the sun in Capricorn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. OMG. And on the same day, Mercury comes out of its shadow because it will be past 8 degrees. So let's look at this for a second. Wow. The sun and Pluto conjunction. This is a power day. Okay. If anybody has Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, Aries placements in and around 29 degrees, like wowzas. This is like power, right? Pluto is the god of the underworld. It's all about transform or die. It's all about wealth, your personal power, being with the sun in Capricorn. Okay. This is just a great day to take some kind of action, because both are in the anaretic degree of a cardinal sign. So each sign goes through 0 to 29 degrees. So that's why I say 0 degrees is an important degree, because it's like initiative. And then the 29th degree is anaretic. It's like very wise. And usually after a planet moves into a different sign, something manifests from the 29th degree. And we're all going to feel this vibe shift. Then like a couple of hours later, when the sun and Pluto enter the sign in Aquarius, and we're all going to be like, okay, we're coming out of the depths of the underworld, because Capricorn is an earth sign, and we're going into the fixed air sign of Aquarius. So we're then moving up into the air. So this is a vibe shift. And then Mercury finally comes out of its shadow, and Mercury is like doing its own different thing now in Capricorn and tracing new steps. So this is a pretty big deal. And then right away, a couple of hours later, we have the sun and Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So remember back to December of 2020 when we had the what was it? Saturn Pluto conjunction at 0 degrees. So this point is getting triggered again. And then in February, which we'll talk about in February, we're going to have a lot of conjunctions in the sign of Aquarius. So this is kind of like a huge trigger point here. And it's really going to foreshadow what your Pluto and Aquarius story is going to be for the next 20 years. And you would have already seen a glimpse of that March of this year, when Pluto entered the sign of Aquarius for the first time. and just went into, I think, 1 degree, but then it retrograded back into Capricorn. So this is like another, emphasis on your Pluto in Aquarius story. And so if you have fixed signs in and around 0 to 2 degrees, you're going to feel this heavily. Okay. So moving right along, on January 23rd, Venus will enter the sign of Capricorn. So Venus will be in Saturn's domain. Here we go. There we go, at 0 degrees. Another ingress into a world point at 0 degrees. And Venus in Capricorn is it's all about tradition. It's all about really loving and admiring and having an appreciation for, I guess, like old things, antiques. Venus in Capricorn is not like, I wouldn't say frugal, but just doesn't spend money just, like frivolously. That's what I wanted to say. Venus in a Saturn ruled sign is more about, I'm going to invest my money in this thing that's going to last me for the long term. And also Venus in a Saturn ruled sign is going to care about things that are for the long term. This is like a total vibe shift, because where Venus was in Sagittarius is like, I want to go on adventures and I want to be fun and flirty. Venus in a Saturn ruled sign is like, when are you going to lock it down? Let's talk about the next steps in our relationship, And so we have this nice, cute stellium in Capricorn right now, Venus, Mercury, and Mars, all in the sign of Capricorn. And so your Capricorn house is lit right now. Okay. So then on January 25th, we have a full moon in the sign of Leo at 5 degrees. Okay, so let's move to that day. Okay. The moon is at 5. So full moons are all about completion, culmination, manifestation, illumination. And full moons is when the sun is opposite the moon in the sky. So whenever you have the sun, in this case, in the sign of Aquarius at 5 degrees, the moon is naturally in the sister sign, the opposite sign, which is Leo. So you want to think back to the new moon in Leo, which happened sometime in, August. And any intentions you set then, this is the 6-month marker of something you possibly are manifesting at this time. What I find interesting about this full moon is that the sun is still within an orb, 6-degree orb of Pluto. And the ruler of the moon is the sun. So the ruler of Leo here is the sun, and it's conjunct to Pluto, which is yowzas. Pluto opposite the moon. This could be bringing up some fears. I mean, Pluto is at the 0 point in the sky in the sign of Aquarius. It's like, what are we doing? Stepping into the unknown. What are we doing for the future? Aquarius is a future forward thinking sign. And the moon in Leo wants to have some kind of like authenticity. The moon in Leo wants to be seen. The Leo moon wants to follow its heart. And so I think a question to ask at this time is what is calling to your heart? And anything that doesn't align to that needs to be released, because ultimately full moons are about release. If you think about how the moon has a gravitational pull on the tides of the ocean on the earth, our body's water, which we're made of 75% of water, naturally comes up to the surface so that we can like feel it and be honest with our feelings, we weren't taught and we were encouraged to feel, But then you're meant to release whatever's not meant for you so that you can start calling in the energies that are meant for you. And yeah, I think this is a full moon where, it's going into new territory here. Pluto in the sign of Aquarius is ideas of the collective and community. It is we the people. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius, and I've done so many videos about this, was when the American Revolution happened, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. But as we all know, 250 years later, the power was just redistributed in a different way to different people. And it really wasn't inclusive, if we're being quite honest here. So how are we, the people, taking back the power and creating a world that is inclusive, that does see all bodies as equal? Because we, like, at the core, spiritually, we all are, but our bodies aren't, to the powers that be. And so we just have to be really honest with ourselves in what we are co-creating. And, the ruler of the sun and Pluto is Saturn here in the sign of Pisces. And I'm going to keep saying it again. Saturn rules the marginalized, and Saturn in the sign of Pisces is how are we reimagining and dreaming, because the whole world has been colonized. So the only thing that they can't colonize at this point is our imagination and our dreams and our ability to co-create. So this full moon feels definitely a little intense with that Pluto opposing the moon. This could bring up feelings of the past, wounds, past trauma. Stephanie uses the word catharsis a lot with Pluto, but ultimately we are meant to look at our shadow so that we can transform and that we can reclaim our power. Okay. So on January 27th, oops, let me change this. On January 27th, we have the sun in Aquarius square to Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees. So that's the first one. So here is the sun at 7 degrees in Aquarius, and it's square to Jupiter in Taurus. This is actually a day that you might have some growth in whatever you have been working on. The sun in Aquarius. So the sun is said to be in its detriment. It's debilitated because the sun is in its home place in the sign of Leo. So the sun technically is where we find our own power, right? So when the sun is in Aquarius, we're thinking about the collective. We're thinking about what is good for the whole, which is a good thing, right? So when it is square to Jupiter, and Jupiter, it wants to expand something in your Taurus house, they're at a conflict situation. So whatever you're thinking about growing for the future, because Aquarius is future forward thinking, it's very humanitarian in nature. It's very sci-fi. It's like out of the box thinking, might be in a conflict with whatever you're trying to grow in your Taurus house, or it might not be in alignment to the earth, because Taurus is the earth. It might not be in alignment to your body. The one shadow, okay, there's many shadow sides of Aquarius. I have my moon and Venus in Aquarius, so I know this energy very well, is to detach from your body and just be analytical and be all up in the mind, right? So this could be in conflict with your embodiment, Jupiter in Taurus, and what you're growing there. But ultimately, I think it's not like a terrible aspect because Jupiter is the greater benefic. So something can be manifested at this time, or you might feel called to take action in some way. So the same day, Mercury in Capricorn is conjunct to Mars in Capricorn. And we had this just a few days ago. Well, I'm talking about this here in December. In the sign of Sagittarius, we had Mercury and Mars conjunct in the sign of Sagittarius. So they're meeting up again here. So here we have Mars and Mercury at 17 degrees conjunct. So whenever we see Mercury and Mars conjunct, this is powerful speech because Mercury rules communication and Mars rules things like taking action and power. Also, there's a severing quality. But because they're in earth signs, this might mean that you're taking action like more tangibly. When this conjunction happened in the sign of Sagittarius, I just noticed a lot of people on social media fighting because Mercury is not in its home sign in Sagittarius because Mercury finds its home in Gemini and Virgo. So when Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's like foot and mouth syndrome. It's just like wild and like just says anything it believes. And Mars there is like, yes, let's do it, right? But now there's a more somber quality. It's like, let's take quiet action. Let's maybe have more serious conversations, but that are going to make the most impact. And I really like this because this is like, Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. It's in a Saturn ruled sign. And it's like, let's have intentional conversations. Okay, so then Mercury in Capricorn will be square to the North Node in Aries. And again, whenever we have squares to the North Node, these are fated aspects. This is, squares are also the nature of Mars, and we have Mars rules the North Node here because Mars rules the sign of Aries. So I don't know. This sounds pretty. It seems very action oriented because Capricorn and Aries are cardinal signs. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, like I said. Mars rules the North Node. You could take some really great action steps here. So maybe on this day, you want to start your entrepreneurship journey. This would be a good day to like launch that. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Okay. And then on the same day, so January 27th is a very busy day energetically. Uranus in the sign of Taurus stations direct. So at this point, most of the planet, I would say all of the planets now, except for Juno, which is an asteroid, are moving forward. So Uranus has been moving retrograde, and Uranus has been in your Taurus house since, I believe, 2018. I have to look that up. But Uranus is the planet of awakening, revelation, change. Is trying to break you out of a rut, trying to break you out of a stagnant situation. Taurus is the fixed earth sign. It is the most stuck, which is like a nice word of saying like stubborn, or Taurus like doesn't move basically. Just think of like a huge bull, right? It's not going to move unless it has to. And so Uranus there has been trying to get you out of a stuck situation, something that might need to be unstuck. It could be a pattern. It could be a behavior that just doesn't work for you anymore. Taurus rules the throat. I know a lot of people during this time have been trying to open up their throat chakra, trying to speak more, trying to speak their truth more. So now that it's going direct and you have some forward momentum here, I mean, it's going to stay at the 19th degree for a little while, but you know, it's trying to do its thing. And the most exciting aspect I'm looking forward to in 2024 is on April 20th, when Jupiter and Uranus come into a conjunction at 21 degrees of Taurus. That's like a sudden windfall of some like unexpected, amazing thing in your Taurus house. So look out for that. All right, moving right along. Thankfully, I'm not going off on too many tangents here. January 28th, we have, hold on, let me change this. January 28th, we have Venus in Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces at 6 degrees. Okay, this is really sweet. And whenever Venus makes like sweet aspects to Saturn, especially since Venus is in Saturn's sign and Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, this is like, I don't know, really cute. You can maybe like, if you're in a if you're in a relationship and you want to make it long term, this would be a great day to be like, hey, let's take the next steps. Or if this is not even about relationships at all, and this is like maybe taking a step towards, it really depends on where you have Venus, right? So if, let's say you're Capricorn rising and you have Venus transiting your first house and Saturn transiting your third house by whole sign, right? This could be, ooh, I really want to make myself more visible on social media because the third house is the house of media and social media, and the first house is of self. And since Venus is in Saturn's sign and its exalted sign, Venus is exalted in Pisces, this is like, ooh, I'm going to like show up for the first time, something like that. Or if you have, let's say you're Cancer rising and you have Capricorn in your seventh house of one-on-one partnerships. And let's see, let me do this math in my head. And Saturn is transiting Pisces in your ninth house. This is maybe I want to go on a foreign trip with my sweetheart to like re-solidify our relationship because we've maybe lost track, because you had Pluto going through your seventh house. We might have lost touch with each other. Let's like recommit to each other by going on an amazing trip. Something like that, for example. Okay, on the same day, Mercury in Capricorn will trine Uranus and Taurus at 19 degrees. This is like, woo, epiphany, downloads. This is, here is Uranus at 19 and it's trine to Mercury and Taurus. I really love Mercury and Uranus aspects, even if they are squares, because something like a message, like I like Uranus, and I only like Uranus because I have Uranus on my ascendant. So I'm used to this kind of like, like electrifying energy or this like unexpected energy, because life can feel so mundane when you expect things. So like when Uranus is like activated, it's like, wee, something exciting is coming up that I didn't expect. And whenever Uranus and Mercury meet, it's like, ooh, like a surprise text message from an old friend, or a surprise email that I wasn't expecting, or maybe surprise money that I wasn't expecting. Something exciting can come up during this time. Again, look at where you have your Capricorn and your Taurus houses, and they're at 19 degrees. So give it like 3 degrees. So 16 to 24. Okay. On the same day, a lot happening on January 28th as well. On the same day, Venus in Capricorn will trine Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees. Ooh la la, this is so sweet. So not only does Venus make a sextile to Saturn, Venus makes a trine to Jupiter. And we love this because when the greater benefic speaks in a trine to the, I guess, lower benefic Venus, this is like, this is sweet. So Venus is a benefic, and Venus is the planet of attraction. So Venus gives sweet things through other people, through relationships, whereas Jupiter is the greater benefic, and you get abundance and luck through like the gods, because Jupiter is a sky god. So when these two come together, it's like divine intervention comes through a person and delivers something sweet. And I like to just go out on trines, even if it's like, just doing errands or going out to dinner with friends. This is a great day to go out to dinner because Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus and Taurus rules food as well. Just a good day to hang out with people that you like, that you feel you have really strong bonds with, and just like have fun, right? And you never know who you meet along the way. And um, the thing here is when I speak about these transits, it's not just to sit on the couch and like hide your head in the sand. And I never recommend that, even with squares or the more difficult aspects. I always say to work with the energy. Okay, so I think that was all for the 28th. The 28th was a big day. Last but not least, on January 29th, Mars in Capricorn will trine Uranus and Taurus at 19 degrees. Okay, so again, trines are harmonious. So Mars in Capricorn, which is exalted, like I said, will be trine to Uranus and Taurus. This is another great day. It's a great day that you might just feel inclined to take action. Like, I'm not even going to suggest anything to you today because you'll just feel the energy and you might just want to be like, okay, I'm just going to like build my website. And I'm just saying website because Uranus also deals with things like technology. And maybe you want to learn something new, something that is just different. You know, Uranus is like the quirky, out of the box kind of thinking planet. And you know, you might want to get out of a rut. I'm just suggesting because, again, like Uranus is going to exit left from Taurus in 2025, and it's going to go into Gemini, which is an air sign. And so it's really trying to help you like move, move this stagnant energy in your Taurus house. And I'm just going to give you like me as an example. My Taurus house is the sixth house, which for Sagittarius rising, and I have a lot of air and fire placements, is just such a boring house. And it's because the sixth house is about things like health and, you know, your day-to-day habits, but it's an important house because it's all about solidifying your dreams in the reality. And it's very important to do these very mundane things that make it count. And it's an area of my life that I don't really pay attention to. It's an area of my life that I felt very stuck in because I do need more discipline and I do need more daily habits to help me ground my energy because Taurus is Earth, right? And so, especially like in the last couple months, because now like Uranus is hitting my own personal placements, it's become more like apparent to me that I need to pay attention to my health. I need to pay attention to my daily habits, what I eat, what I feed myself, how I take care of myself, because that is what is making all the difference in my own energy. So just think about that as I'm telling you about these transits, because, you know, you might not feel them. For a lot of people, the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you might not feel them until they hit something. And then you're like, oh, okay, now it's hitting my sun, it's hitting my moon, it's hitting my nodes, it's hitting some angle. And it's like, this sucks. But it's there to help you. It's there to make you become more of you. It's there to help you unfold these old stories about yourself that just are not in alignment with where we're going towards. So let me double check to see if I missed anything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I think that's January in a nutshell. So we basically go from the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn into the fixed air sign of Aquarius. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is the dead middle of winter. And in the Southern Hemisphere, you are in the middle of your summer. And so this is when at least here, like we are getting more clarity on where we're trying to move forward, right? And for me, I don't really follow the Gregorian calendar of January 1st being the new year. I consider the Aries season to be the beginning of the new year when Aries moves into when the sun moves into the sign of Aries. But like however you want to treat January, for me, January is all about because we have two signs, two seasons back to back in Saturn. And Saturn is all about looking to the past, right? What happened? It's all about your relationship to time. What is your relationship to time, right? Because Saturn in Pisces right now is like trying to bust out all of these patriarchal colonial paradigms around how we relate to time, because time in that construct is linear. Whereas in Pisces, it's like, what is time? You know, time is there are multiple realities happening at the same time, and I am also my inner child as I'm my old like future self as I am in this present moment, like. And I think about that all the time right now, because at any moment we can decide to take action and reclaim our true selves. Like we don't need to hold on to these old stories about ourselves. At any time we can say, no, that doesn't work for me anymore. I'm going to learn more about myself. Aries North Node, reclaim my sovereignty, Aries North Node, and I'm going to release all those values, all of those ideas about relationships and people that just are not in alignment with me, South Node in Libra. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it by myself. And let me know how your January goes. And as always, the best way you can support me is to download, follow, share, subscribe this podcast and leave a review if you like it. And also follow me on the YouTube version to watch in real time. And yeah, thank you so much for all of your support. And I will see you in February. Bye.